Robert Reich once said, globalization and free trade do spur economic growth and they lead to lower prices on many goods. Keep this in mind as we discuss today ASEAN Summit and its impact on the global economy. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
Major news for today. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, concluded a major agreement that created the biggest free trade zone in the world in Southeast Asia.
That's correct, Russ. The meeting just took place, and what's important about that is that ASEAN countries, which we will have, by the way, a link in the description for our viewers to know what we're talking about here and what the countries are. There are about 10 countries, I believe that was formed in 1967, if I'm not mistaken. And the interesting aspect about this, Ross, is that those countries came together. And like you mentioned, despite animosities between some of the neighbors over there, over territorial issues, they all said, hey, let's put that aside and let's figure out how we can move all of us economically that will benefit all the countries.
You know, in its own way, that's an astonishing achievement.
It is indeed. But guess who is also leading this? Is China. And we can just see how the role that China is playing. Well, based on my own analysis of what are the long-term and strategic impact of this summit is going to have on global trade. Because what are we looking at right now? Like you mentioned earlier, that this ASEAN summit calling for the trade among the members, equivalent to what the European Union is
Only
doing.
bigger.
Except bigger. You're absolutely correct. Because, like as we always mentioned in our shows, that the wealth has been already transferred from the west to the east. Asia now is considered the economic hub for the world. And ASEAN countries wants to take advantage of that.
You know, the amazing thing of this is the conciliatory tone of all of this. As we watch the people being interviewed and they're talking about, we really want this to happen. It is in our best interest. We will look over the multitude of wars we've had and all the disputes that we've had and all the people we'll look over all of it because it is in our current best interest.
Well, also because all the regional countries there will benefit from this. I mean, I'm not surprised that even Australia and Japan, two of main U.S. allies, have decided to join the ASEAN summit. They are not members of the ASEAN countries; they are only 10. But the ASEAN itself can invite the neighboring countries, and Australia and Japan decided to attend the summit this year.
In spite of all the rhetoric about China, the big enemy, I mean, people just got to overlook that as absolute BS.
That's correct. Well, it's because the economic interest for all those countries, knowing how the global trade and the tensions between the United States and China is impacting the global trade on the US side, not the Chinese market. Because China's market, as we always say, you cannot ignore it. So China is moving forward, and those countries wanted to be part of that expansion.
Interestingly, the United States was invited, and
they refused to attend. They didn't send any delegations. But the argument, as always, we don't believe in the trade with China and so forth, and that's going to harm the American businesses in a long term. Because here is the thing: those ASEAN countries, once they sign the deal tomorrow, they communicate the final communique. Even though they are stating that one of the first things they're going to tackle is the COVID-19, but also economic aspects to how the barriers will be lifted in trade between them and so forth. the American companies will have no access to that market whatsoever. And again, you cannot ignore Asian markets when it comes down to economic opportunities.
Not only does China have the biggest economy in the world, but that region far up passes every other region in the world.
That's correct. And if we take into consideration one major aspect that we've been addressing in our shows before regarding China is the introduction of the digital yuan, the upgrade of the infrastructure, and now with the launch of the 6G technology, you can just see where this is going. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. We can just see where this is going. And the challenge that's going to be for American companies is they will have no way of competing because there will be no opportunity for them. It's almost like this ASEAN summit is calling for internal trade among those members, excluding the United States.
Well, outside of communication, for sure it's not going to happen.
No, it won't. I don't see it happen unless the next administration will cut a deal with China.
Which looks likely.
Most likely it will, because I'm a believer of this, and those are the laws of economics. Once you start seeing prices of commodities going up, social unrest will be unleashed. And that's the last thing we need.
Oh, absolutely. What would you say the bottom line for our viewers is in terms of how the impact is going to hit them?
Well, the main thing that we need to understand here in the United States is that the competition now for U.S. firms in that market, Asian markets, is going to be limited. So we're going to have to find new markets elsewhere, because like Europe, usually Europeans are not even in good term with the US when it comes down to trade. Trade with China, of course, the tensions that's going on. So for us, Latin America, it's not a big market the way we expect it to be. So for the US firms, it's going to be facing a major challenge moving forward. Now, depending on the new administration, if the political issues are settled in the United States, depending on what type of economic policies they're going to pursue. And that will at least determine which direction this thing is going to go. Because like we mentioned in one of our shows, once you start to lose confidence in the American economy, in the American dollar, investors are going to move their wealth, the money and gold, they're going to move them to the safest markets. And to them now, Asia will represent that.
This is huge.
It is indeed, Ross, and we need to really understand the implications of, like for example, this summit. What will it mean for us, you and I, the viewers, and how that's going to impact our pockets? Because we won't be able to trade with those countries.
Two possibilities here. One is, if trade is restricted, commodity prices will
go up very much.
And if we're not sending products there, unemployment will go up as well.
Very high. And those, the two factors that will impact any economic growth in any society, if they are dealing with those two factors, let alone the psychological impact on the workforce or the population for that matter. I mean, when you start having people depressed and so forth, that takes a major toll on a society productivity moving forward.
Absolutely. What would you say the bottom line here is?
Well, the bottom line is it will be we need to keep an eye open on what the next step after the summit concludes in the next 48 hours or so. And interesting enough to see who's trading with whom and the volume of that trade. And that in itself will give us an idea as to, of course, China's going to take the lead on this, given the infrastructure, given the BRI. That's going to be
Belt and Road Initiative,
that's going to be
which is already launched.
Yeah, which is going to be part of that. So all those, us keeping an eye on understanding that volume of that trade between those countries will give us an idea, at least a perspective for us to start to think and plan moving forward. So,
our goal is to give you quality information.
And we'll let you reach your own conclusion. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and also be sure to check out our other videos, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
And as always,
Stay informed. Until next time. Bye-bye.